Hello and welcome to the podcast. Today I have a very special guest with me, and I'm so grateful and honored to I have Victor on my podcast today. So he's gonna talk more about what he do and what is his business right now, and yeah, he will take it away from now.
Cool. Yeah, like so how you mentioned, my name is Victor, Victor
Yeah,
Munoz, and essentially I am an e-commerce expert. I basically do a lot of things in the digital marketing realm. So that goes from Shopify stores with the dropshipping model. That's kind of what I used to do. I've transitioned slowly to affiliate marketing. So I'm selling other people's products right now, but I still have a marketing agency where I help clients scale up their businesses. So we kind of me and my team kind of range from pretty much any product. So whether it be a digital product to physical, whether it be like fitness to kitchen, we kind of do it all. We've kind of been in the game for about 6 years now, and we've kind of mastered a lot of niches and know how to market pretty much anything on the planet at this point.
yeah, they're pretty nice. So you are basically in all niches, all business. You're trying to
Yeah, yeah.
scale
Pretty much
as much as
anything that
possible.
digital marketing could help with, we pretty much touch it. And if we can't figure it out, it doesn't take us too long to figure it out.
I can talk a little bit more about myself. I am a social marketing company. I'm basically solo right now, just beginning, and yeah, helping everything with growing from social media to Instagram, something like that. But Victor is more like into e-commerce, and that's why I'm trying to get him on the podcast today also. Yeah. So, how do you get started with all this? What inspired you to get started?
Yeah, so a little bit about just my background and how I got
Yeah.
started in this is essentially I'm a college dropout. I was going to school for I was majoring at the school I was going to. I was going for biochemistry as well as just business in general. The school I was going to, though, had very poor student management, meaning that there was not enough teachers to support the amount of students that they had. So there
Yeah.
was points where some classes, like just to give you a specific example, where like analytical chemistry was one of the classes I needed, and they only allowed 6 students per quarter, and they only had one teacher teaching it. But then you have a pool of 500 students trying to get that class, basically made it impossible unless you got lucky. So it got so bad to where I was going to like 3 schools at the same time, my 4 year university as well as 2 community colleges, and I was just burnt out. So it was the end of my junior year, and I talked to my counselor literally on the last day of school and realized that I just had a lot longer here because not because of my GPA, but just because they couldn't support and get the classes needed. So that summer, I kind of contemplated and kind of like weighed out my options, and I discovered digital marketing because I
Yeah.
was a business major as a double major. A lot of my textbooks talked about digital marketing, but they didn't talk about it enough. Like I always thought that, hey, like I'm starting to get these ads on Instagram all the time, on Twitter, whatever, whatever. So at that point, I decided to look more into digital marketing, and then I found an online trade school that got me a certificate that allowed me to get into digital marketing. I started as an intern at a marketing agency, and that eventually evolved into me discovering drop shipping on YouTube, going down the rabbit hole of those videos, and then learning how to do all this stuff for myself rather than for a company I was working for. And that's pretty much how I got started in it. And just to answer the other part of the question you asked, which is like, how do you get started? I think YouTube's everybody's best friend.
Yeah.
There's so much to learn on there for free. I think like in terms of just a drop shipping niche, like you could find a lot of creators, a lot of newer guys, there's a lot of guys who have been in the game for a long time, still posting content there for free. I would definitely start there. Maybe once you find somebody that you gravitate towards, maybe see if they offer a course and maybe buy that course. I'm an advocate about buying courses. I think you're getting better, more concise knowledge. So I've bought a couple courses in my lifetime, and that's helped me a lot. But ultimately, it's a mix of like YouTube courses and then just trial and error. You're gonna find your own styles that you like and you don't like, and ultimately craft your own marketing strategy from there.
Yeah. Well, man, that's a pretty cool story you have there to drop out and do everything yourself, become self-employment and do all that stuff.
Appreciate it.
What was your friends and maybe family thinking about you when you dropped out and
Yeah,
you
that's a good
did
question.
everything your
So
own way?
yeah, so my best friend at the time, he lived literally across the street from me, so like we were neighbors. And so he's the one who kind of encouraged me because he didn't go to college himself, and like he doesn't have like at the time he didn't have a great job either. We were like 20 when I dropped out. I'm 27 currently. But what kind of inspired me is just like he basically we sat down and kind of told about my situation, and he was basically like, hey, like you're too smart to just be stuck here. Go look for something else. And that's kind of like what kind of pushed me towards it. So I had a group of friends who were encouraging, and like he falls into that category for sure. And I had friends who actually I've known since elementary school who actually went to the same college as me, and they were all telling me, no, don't do it, it's a mistake, blah 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 blah. But I can't be mad at them because they came from a good place, right? They didn't want me to fail, so that's why they did. It wasn't no malice in that department. Although there are friends that I no longer speak to that are no longer friends that had malice and they got jealous and all that stuff. But those the friends I'm specifically referring to, they came from a good place with that. So I had friends on both spectrums, some that were saying like, "Yo, you're a moron, don't do it," and some that said like, that encouraged it from the beginning. In terms of my parents, my dad actually is a computer IT guy. He does cybersecurity.
Yep.
So for him, he kind of believes in the internet and knows the power of the internet. So when I told him like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this digital marketing thing, he was mad. Obviously, no parent wants to hear their kid wanting to drop out, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But he
exactly.
understood the power of the internet, so he said, hey, give it a shot. If it works, cool. If it doesn't, figure out and go back to school or whatever you want to do. My mom did not take it well though. For her, I'm second generation Mexican, so them being first generation, they came over. In the Mexican and Latino culture, you were kind of taught like, hey, work hard, go to school. That's kind of like the new era of things, right?
Yep.
So entrepreneurship's not really part of that blueprint, if you will. So when my mom heard, hey, he's dropping out to go do this, she didn't really believe into it. And I still think like she does now, and obviously because it's like been working out and everything. But it took her at least a couple, like I would say at least 3 years to fully open up to the idea of it and seeing it work, right? And that's just kind of
Yep.
like how it was. So um again, like I had both spectrums, whether it be family or like friends, I had both spectrums of people supporting and people who didn't like not necessarily supporting all the way. So it was just kind of a mix for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Whoa, that's pretty cool to hear about. And yeah, sometimes guys, just remember to go into things and take it on your own if you truly believe it in with your heart, and don't let
Exactly.
nobody hold you back. Don't let the haters be on your mind. Just have to focus on your own way, and if you see it, give it some time. And yeah, everything takes time. Rome was not built in one day.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
So for the people who don't know who and what affiliate marketing is, can you try to explain more of
Yeah.
the business? Yeah,
Oh, so affiliate marketing is
yeah,
essentially you're selling somebody else's product and service and taking a commission. So there's benefits to both. So let me tell you, like if you're a brand owner, I'll start with that.
yeah,
Typically, you're gonna have some type of online store. Most of the time, it's gonna be hosted on Shopify, WooCommerce, one of those two. And then you're essentially providing your own traffic. So you're running Facebook ads, Google ads, whatever traffic source, organic content to get people to the website, and they're buying the product off your website, and it's your job to go make sure that the product gets fulfilled. You have to order inventory, you have to do the customer service, XYZ. You own the business, right? So you have to put people in place or do all the work yourself. With affiliate marketing, you take a commission of somebody else's business. So essentially, I'm going to the store owner, which is the person on that side, and I'm basically telling them, hey, I want to sell your product. I'll provide my own traffic and I'll pay for the traffic out of my own pocket. But in exchange, I want X amount of commission per item.
yeah,
So, for example, let's just say I'm selling like candles, and let's just say this candle costs $50. I will go ahead and tell the owner of the candle company, hey, for every candle I sell, I want $25, right? And typically, they're going to agree to it because I'm spending my own ad spend. So for them, they're ensuring a fixed flat fee on their end, so it's beneficial to both parties. And the benefits of doing affiliate marketing as opposed to being a brand owner is you no longer have to worry about fulfillment, ordering the products, making sure you have inventory, customer service, payment processing. You avoid a lot of the headaches that come with being a brand owner. And there's nothing against being a brand owner. I've had brands, I've exited from them in the past. Right now, just the way that kind of things are going for me, I'm preferring the affiliate marketing route a little bit more, just because it gives me a little bit more flexibility and it allows me to scale a little bit harder without having as much to worry about. So that's just the main difference is that you're basically selling somebody else's product for commission rather than your own.
yeah. Basically, be a help to a company, if you can say that. Yeah, but you have to know a lot more about the business and where their position are, and how to grow them to the next level and scale the company.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
For the new people that are watching and want to start a business, if they should start a business like marketing, what should they start, and how begin their journey?
Yeah, I think it goes back to YouTube. I think
Yeah,
the first thing, if you want to start in marketing, First of all, there's like multiple types of marketing, right? So everything marketing related, I feel like is like a big tree and there's multiple branches. So
Yeah,
the first branch is like there's marketing and there's digital marketing and there's like traditional marketing. Traditional marketing is like TV, billboard, all that old school stuff. And then like digital marketing is everything online, whether it be organic content, TikTok, Facebook ads, whatever it is. I specialize in that category and I highly recommend everybody specializes in that category if they're trying to get into the marketing niche. So with that said, now there's another set of branches, right? So I
yeah,
think the first step is finding out what you want to do and what piques your interest the most. So if you know you want to be into digital marketing, that's cool. But there's so many different business models within digital marketing, right? So there's social media marketing agency. You can start a marketing agency where you get people, you find clients of your own and you run ads for them. The difference between that and affiliate marketing, though, I just want to make this clear, is it's essentially kind of the same model. All these are basically the same model with just slight pieces twisted. When you're doing a marketing agency model, you're basically using the client's money to run the ads, and then you're usually charging them a fixed fee or commission. So the benefit is that you're using their money, right?
yeah,
As affiliate marketing, I'm using my own money, but typically the commissions will be higher. So it just depends, right? So I think the first step is figuring out, okay, list all the options. Okay, there's social media marketing agents, there's affiliate marketing, there's um drop shipping, they're starting a brand from scratch, white label, Amazon FBA, all these models. I think the first thing is, do some research on all of them, figure out the basis of each single one, and figure out which one piques your interest, and then just start watching videos on that, right? And from there, just start building the skill set. Okay, if you want to do Amazon FBA, start watching videos on Amazon FBA. Make sure it's something that you'll like and you could afford, and then just give it a shot. At the end of the day, like the failures and successes are the ultimate teacher. So if you don't do it, you're never gonna know if you're gonna be good at it, right? So if you fail and you understand why you failed, then you can improve on that. So that's just kind of my philosophy, and just start with that and use the base information that you find on YouTube. There's plenty of information on all these models on YouTube. Start there, and then once you kind of get the momentum, maybe you get your first client if you're doing the marketing agency, maybe you're doing the drop shipping model, you get your first winning product. Then start looking into more detailed like materials, right? So like courses from other gurus, maybe pay for a mentorship or whatever it is, and just get yourself to the next level. And then from there, trial and errors is kind of your best friend.
yeah. Very nice. And you told me you have been doing this for many years, right?
Yeah, about 6 years now.
Yeah. So basically, do we recommend new people to start if they are doing some free work and maybe get more reference clients and customers, or do you prefer another strategy to go
I
through?
think it just depends, right? So like
Yeah,
I think that's very model specific, that question. So for example, you can't really do free work if you own the store or affiliate marketing. They're going to want you to provide your own money and funding. So the only model that really lets you that allows you to basically do free work would be doing the agency model, right? Where you find a client and you tell them, hey, I'm gonna work for free. Yes and no. So I've done it before. I realized that most of these people are just in it for the freebie, and like after a
yeah,
month or two, they'll pick you off, and that's it. And essentially, you did all this work for nothing because they're not going to turn to a client. But at the end of the day, you did learn on their dime, right? So it kind of was a give and take. I think it's a good model if you need to learn, but in terms of like actually using it as a client acquisition model, I think it's a bad model because typically it attracts people who aren't willing to pay X amount of money, right? Typically for me, for example, I charge the minimum for a client is 3,000 per month. And typically I get a lot of my clients actually come from word of mouth now, but when I tried doing the free model, a lot of them weren't willing to pay that retainer. They wanted the marketing service for 300 a month, and it just wasn't worth the time, right? So the free model is a give and take. If you're a beginner, it's good to learn, but as you get more proficient, it's not the best way to acquire clients.
yeah. So basically, also network is a key. Like it takes a lot of time to build up, and how do you get started out to network, and how do you have a strategy for that?
Yeah, I think the first step for me, like my first ever client actually came from a friend. So I have
Yeah,
friends who are in the car industry. They build parts for certain cars. They have like a shop, and then ultimately ended up meeting a body kit company, and that company still was my first client and is still with me today. So I think first off is just reaching out to your friends and family and figuring out who has an uncle or dad or any type of relation to a business owner, and see if you could do the marketing for them first. That's the easy low hanging fruit to get your first client if you're gonna do that model. But in terms of just the networking aspect, I just go to a lot of local events. So there's a lot of local events. I just recently moved to Las Vegas, so there's a lot of local events happening pretty much every week here, whether it be real estate, solar, or other niches that I know my skill set could apply to and help those business owners with. But there's also a lot of marketing conferences in my area as well. Previously, I lived in Los Angeles, so there's a lot of like marketing conferences there as well. So it's just basically putting yourself out there and going to these networking events, whether it be specific to marketing or like just other niches or industries that marketing could be related to, right? So another one's like real estate. Like real estate, there's a lot of realtors that need to find buyers for homes. You can run ads for that. So, go out there and just talk to them and see if, you can get somebody who's willing to give you a shot. So that's a good way to do it. And eventually, once you have your core client base, like I have about like 6 good clients, those people will typically end up referring more people to you because a lot of business owners know a lot of other business owners. So eventually you'll organically kind of grow just through the network that you've built.
That is pretty amazing tip to give. What do you love most about your work? You have some free time, and you're basically your own boss, if you can say that. Some people
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the flexibility is definitely one of the best
Yeah.
things. I could basically work from anywhere on the planet at this point. If I want to go travel to a lot of the guys right now at the time of this recording are actually in Dubai. I just moved to my new house, so I'm just settling in here. So I didn't want to go to Dubai, but if I wasn't, I'd be in Dubai right now. And that's the thing. Like a lot of my peers, that guys that I talk to in the marketing space, we all get the flexibility to like, hey, I just want to go to Dubai for another conference today, or I want to go to somewhere else. So you have the flexibility of time freedom and travel freedom because you could just, as long as you get the work done, obviously, you could kind of work on your own pace, right? You could travel anywhere as long as you have Wi-Fi, you're pretty much good. So that's kind of the best benefit and perk. The second thing is I actually find it really enjoyable. It's a lot of psychology at the end of the day, as well as analytics. And I enjoy both those things. And I think it ends up becoming a video game. If you truly like marketing, it ends up becoming a video game of like, how do I catch the mouse, right? Because that's essentially what we're doing. We're putting out traps and we're hoping that the mouse catches it, aka the customer, and we get them to perform the action that we want, whether it be purchasing a product, submitting the information as a lead, or something of that nature. And it gets fun kind of discovering, hey, like how should I write this or how should I structure this landing page? Or, it gets fun over time. And I think that's the thing I enjoy the most about it. It's just something that I kind of fell into just by circumstance with like my whole college experience. But ultimately, I'm grateful for the opportunities that's provided me. And it's been really, really fun. And it continues to be fun as I'm learning more things from different industries, as I get into different niches, just learning what works there and maybe applying it to another niche. That's like what's really fun to me.
So yeah, you talked more about travel and that stuff. Can you leave an impact on the viewers how travel is can affect your work, and you see a high end goal, basically be anywhere in the world, and it's amazing.
Yeah, so I actually didn't really start traveling until about my 4th year into the space.
Yeah.
So the first 4 years I didn't travel. I think it's just because one, I kind of got screwed with a big lawsuit. I'm actually currently suing JP Morgan Chase. I can't really go into too many details, but
All right.
essentially they're holding a good amount of money from me. So that kind of also put a bad taste in my mouth where I had to recoup my money and get back on my feet. That was about my 3rd year into the dropshipping and e-commerce game. But aside from that, I also just didn't like feel like traveling. I felt like I was still in the learning phase and I just needed to keep on learning and not get distracted. But after around, I would say 2022 is when I started traveling. So me and my girlfriend, we went to like Chicago for the first time. I'm from California, Los Angeles. So Chicago was really like a really cool experience. I went to Zion in Utah, which is beautiful and amazing experience. And then I've been out of the country a few times. I went to Europe. I went to Barcelona. I went to France. I've been to Canada. I've been to, all these other locations. And I think it's beneficial to travel the world because it's kind of an inspiration source, right? Like you're kind of seeing how other people's cultures compared to yours, and you can pick up some stuff from like the locals and whatnot, especially if you're in the local areas. And it's just fun. It's a good time to travel. It's a good way to unwind. And again, like being able to work from anywhere, you don't have to worry about, hey, like I'm going to be distracted for a week. Set some time aside, go maybe check out a local coffee shop in that area. Like for example, in Paris, I went to a local coffee shop, got a croissant, and just worked for a couple hours, and then got back to enjoying the vacation. But that's the benefit of doing something like this, and I think the benefit of travel is just it's a source of inspiration. Like sometimes changing your environment is a great way to go ahead and get inspired to keep on working or whatever it is.
Yeah. Pretty nice. So, what is your normal workday look like? A schedule? Do you have a schedule, or is it more like, you know, you can do this, you can do you can do that
Yeah,
at that point, or
Yeah, so I have a couple clients that
yeah,
I have again, like I said, 6 clients. Two of them are actually a little bit more hands-on. So I typically have like calls every other day with them, just because they're spending bigger budgets. So aside from that, I just schedule them on my calendar and then I just will go. So I like waking up kind of late. I go to sleep really late as well. So I go to sleep around 3 a.m. I wake up at around 10:30, 11 a.m. depends on the day. So I do wake up a little late. My schedule is a little bit different from most. But essentially, like I just go throughout my day. I try to schedule my calls a little bit earlier in the day, so I'm done with them. But I'm done with all my calls pretty much by 2:30 at the latest. And then from there, I kind of take an hour break after the calls, kind of make a to-do list of what I have to do for the rest of the day, and then just get to work and try to hammer out as much as I do want. I typically do 2 hours at that point after I'm done making taking my little break. 2 hours. This puts me at about 6 p.m. I go ahead and make dinner. I go to the gym. I do whatever I have to do. And then at nighttime, I get back to work. And the reason why I like to work at night is this is just because of how like marketing works. You don't necessarily have to do this because you could set timers and all this stuff, but typically like it's better to analyze your data at the end of the day because you have the full like spectrum of like how your metrics look when the day ends. So typically at midnight, I like to hop on, just make my adjustments at that time. You don't have to do that. It's just what works for me. And so I'll spend an hour at night to maybe 2 hours. I'll have a lot of work to just kind of optimize everything and then let it run for the next day. So that's kind of how I break up my work. It's a little bit unorthodox because I kind of have like two schedules, a nighttime and then like a no morning one. But it works for me, and that's how I like it. I have friends who do everything in the morning and just let it run. I have friends who only work at night. So, you're gonna find out what works for you. I think that you shouldn't model after anybody. Maybe use it as inspiration because ultimately, like I tried to be the morning person. I hate waking up early. So it just didn't work for me. So I found what works for me, and that's just kind of how I go about it.
So you see basically every day, people are on social media, they are scrolling through their phones and something like that. So can you talk about now how important it is to get the people there to on social media to bring them down to your customers, and how social media is so important today?
Yeah, so I'll answer this by starting with like traditional marketing, which you covered a little bit, which is
Yeah,
like billboard, radio, TV, signs, all that stuff, versus today, right? So today we're relying more on the digital marketing age, which is like organic traffic, Facebook ads, Google ads, YouTube, whatever, right? So the main difference between the two is that, and it's just a very simple overlooked thing, is that analytics, right? So at the end of the day, I can't see how many people saw my billboard, right? There might be thousands of people driving, but only 30% of them look up at the billboard, right? And you don't know
yeah,
how many people are on the road. There's just so much data that you're missing when you do these traditional marketing methods, right? Maybe TV you could kind of see because like, the broadcast can kind of tell you how many people, but at the same time, some people just switch to another channel during the commercials or they go to the restroom or they cook something. So you truly don't know, and you're very blind when it comes to traditional marketing as opposed to normal, this new digital marketing age where Facebook ads tells me how many people saw that, how many of those people clicked that, how many people bought from that ad, and XYZ. And all these platforms pretty much do the same. So you just get a lot more refined analytics and data from these new social digital marketing platforms. So I think that's really beneficial for every business because you should be able to know where your marketing dollars are going to and if they're actually helping your bottom line, right? So that's the first thing. Number two, just back to the old school traditional versus new school, is just that everybody has a phone nowadays and everybody has one form of social media. There's so many
yeah,
social media apps, everybody has at least one. So it's extremely beneficial to be on at least one of these platforms because your customers are on there. And Facebook, for example, and like TikTok and all these, they have algorithms and they have data on all their users where they could tell you like who likes what. For example, let's just say I'm advertising a local steakhouse, right? I'm
yeah,
a steakhouse in Nevada. I could go ahead and target people who only live in that zip code, who like steaks and have a higher income, and Facebook will find me those customers and show the ad to them. And that's going to be more beneficial than just showing it to the masses, to people who might not like steak, maybe they're vegan, or maybe the steakhouse is a little bit too expensive and maybe they can't afford it, and you're just wasting those marketing dollars on people who don't necessarily correlate with what you have to offer as opposed to digital marketing. So it's just, better analytics, better data, as well as more refined targeting, is why it's ultimately better to go that route. And then again, it's just the omnipresence. Everybody has a phone, everybody's on some type of app, and you could literally follow them to the ends of the earth on their phone as opposed to a billboard that you might only be able to afford on one location. So that's just kind of why I think digital marketing is very important for the modern day business owner, regardless if you're in digital marketing, you have an online store or you have a storefront. I think just learning the basis of digital marketing could really, really help any business at this point.
What is the best strategy for you how to find new customers at the time where you were picking a lot of customers and it was really going for you? Do you have more customers before and a lower price, or you always do it the same
Yeah, so I'll answer this
budget?
in sections. So section one is like if I'm a brand owner or like doing affiliate marketing, typically you want to target the nationwide or wherever countries are allowed that you ship to. And you'll typically just try to find things that relate to them. So for example, let's just say I'm selling a vitamin company that a vitamin pill that's for weight loss. Then I'll target people who are into weight loss, who are into fitness, who are into losing weight, who are into calorie counting, XYZ. And that'll be like my audience for that. And I'll try to hit everybody on the planet with that, right? So that's how you can acquire customers and use digital marketing to your advantage to sell your product. Obviously, there's a lot more factors that go into it, like how does your landing page look? Is the offer even good? XYZ, but that's the basis of it. And then in terms of getting clients for myself, I mentioned like I like to do the networking in person thing a little bit more. It just works better for me. I have ran ads to get clients before, but they're typically not the best quality, and they're typically clients who won't stick out there on the long term. So just to kind of give more perspective in that, I typically tell a client, hey, it's going to take about 3 months for you to see a noticeable change and for us to actually like understand your offer, craft everything, and for you to start seeing a profit while working with us. But when I ran ads to get clients, they're typically the people who only want to stick around for 1 month. And if they don't see anything change or they only see a little bit upside, they just want to quit immediately. So typically, again, like I like that word of mouth, like, good clients refer good clients. And that's kind of how I look at and go about things right now in terms of the agency side.
Yeah, it's important for them and you also to stay as long as possible and have the best relationship with you and get the best result, because I've worked with some like you mentioned before, like I think they messaged me like into 2 day they expected to get a lot of followers, let's just say that, and it's basically not gonna take 2 times. So it was basically more at my beginner stage. Yeah, so you have to. That is an important way that you connect with them and you can see them in person, and not just over a Zoom call or something like that. That you some people and your network, yeah, some people you can trust.
Exactly.
How is it important for you to also build an audience for your customers? How do you grow a customers basically from zero to a lot of followers?
So with digital marketing, I don't really necessarily focus on followers. We focus more just on bottom line revenue.
Yeah.
So, or leads. So, for example, I think first thing with any client is I try to figure out what their end goal is. So their goal, let's just say, is to make more money, like just e-com store. Maybe like for example, they sell car body kits. He just wants to sell more product. So I kind of analyze that goal, and I'll kind of start by just asking them like, hey, what's your top products? Okay, these are your top products. What kind of people, like just based on the information you have currently from previous customers, what kind of people typically buy that, what kind of age ranges and all that. And I'll basically use that to craft my offer when I run my ads online and do my targeting from there.
Can you explain more about content creation, how is important?
So with content creation, ultimately that in the paid ads realm, digital marketing realm that I go in, we typically, the creative matters, right? So a lot of the things that are working right now is UGC, user generated content. So that's typically somebody that you hire out for, you give them the product and they usually record like a selfie style video. And they're basically making the ad creative look like a review or a recommendation as opposed to just a straight up ad. And that works really well because people are tired of seeing a normal traditional ad nowadays. And they want to see something that looks a little bit more organic, something that looks like a recommendation from just another person, normal person, as opposed to somebody selling them something. So that's working really well right now, as well as using like apps like 11 Labs to use AI generated voices to basically sell products. So a lot of our other ads, aside from the UGC style stuff, is like B-roll. So basically we'll record B-roll of our product and then we'll just have a cool voiceover explaining the benefits of that product and so forth. And those are both those styles are working really well right now.
Yeah, basically, do you have a team behind you and that's working for you? You told something about Dubai. Do you have people around you that can help you with all of this?
Yeah, so I found a couple freelancers who like I work with a lot,
Yeah.
just to like for example for editing the B-roll, and then in terms of like the UGC hiring creators, I use a couple local websites. Like there's a website, I forgot the name of it. We'll try to find it really quick. let's see, local actors. It is called Backstage. So Backstage is a
Yeah.
place where you could find local actors near you. And typically, I'll try to work with local actors. So, like if I'm selling a product, like for example, like the candle example,
Yes.
I'll meet up with them in person, give them the candle, give them the script, practice with them a few times, and then we can record the ads together. Just so that way the content comes out really good. So I kind of do a little bit of both. For the UGC style, I like doing that. A lot of people use third-party apps like Bilio or they use Fiverr, but I've realized that just Backstage is one more cost-effective and you're getting people who are a little bit more unique because the problem with using these online platforms is that the same creators get used all the time. So, for example, there's this guy, we call him Uncle Tom, and he's a guy from Fiverr, but everybody uses him. So he's
Yeah.
in every brand's ad. So people like are starting to recognize him, and so he doesn't convert as high anymore because everybody uses him. So I like to use the Backstage app just because you could get a little bit more unique UGC off of it. It does require a little bit extra work, obviously, but it's definitely the way to go. And then just for the normal B-roll stuff, like I mentioned, like I just have editors that I found. Those don't have to be like ultra specific. I just hire like basically the best editors I could find for a good price, and I just use them to go ahead and edit my clips.
Yeah, so you told earlier in the podcast you was doing some drop shipping and something like that. How do you got into drop shipping at first? Do you saw some YouTube videos, like you mentioned? Yeah.
Yeah, so essentially I just saw a YouTube video. So the first thing that I saw that got me into it is again, like I was already in the marketing space. I took an online like trade school course and I was doing an internship for a marketing agency. And just because I was doing that, I started getting hit by ads regarding dropshipping, right? YouTubers running ads to their channels or running ads to their course or whatnot. And so I came across the concept of dropshipping through there. And it just kind of interests me, right? Because I was like, okay, I'm already doing, the marketing for other clients. How do I do it for myself? How do I start my own store and how do I do that? And drop shipping is a model, a business model. I like to refer it more as not necessarily a business model because it's just e-commerce and being like a store owner, but more of a fulfillment option. So drop shipping as a fulfillment option allows me to basically order a product directly from the supplier to the customer where I never have to keep inventory myself. So it's a low risk model where I could test multiple products, find one that works, and then elevate to the point where I order bulk and get it branded and whatnot. But it's a good way to just get started to ship this. So it piqued my interest really, really hard. And from there, after seeing that first YouTube video and discovering, what dropshipping is and learning more about it through other YouTube videos, I just kind of finally decided to open my own store up, found some products, and eventually one worked for me. And that's kind of how I got started with it.
Yeah. How long do it take you? Like a 1 year or 5 months or something like
It took
that
me
to
about
really see it interest? Yeah.
Yeah, it took me about 2 months to get my first successful store.
Yeah.
I know people would take a lot longer, but they're super successful now. So I would say don't get discouraged. Like I got really, really lucky, I'm gonna say, because like my first store lasted a good while and it was able to fund my next store. But from the time of that first store to the time for my second successful store, it did take me longer. So I would say I got lucky. But it can happen to anybody. You could get lucky and just have your first product ever really, really take off. It could sometimes take you years and then you finally, start taking off from that point forward. So it just really depends. But yeah, I think it depends really just on your knowledge and just how like you frame everything. And obviously like the product ultimately does matter because if you're selling a product that's new, trendy, and you could start the trend and you're going to be way better off than somebody who's copying a product that's been around for years.
Yeah. You was in some marketing, basically the basic stuff at it and probably a lot more advanced to it. So you were saying it was helping you like when you're trying to make ads on something like that for the drop shipping store. Yeah.
Yeah, so essentially, yeah, that's kind of where we're at. So
Yeah.
yeah, with drop shipping again, like you're the whole business owner, so you have to create the ads yourself. You have to run the ads yourself. You have to do, the customer service yourself, especially in the beginning. Eventually, you can hire out for that stuff. So, like one thing I recommend hiring out for is like customer service. Find a VA that could do the customer service for you. Work with the agent that handles most of the fulfillment for you and so forth. And you can automate a good amount of the chunk of the process. But for the most part, like in the beginning, you're pretty much a one-man army, and that's beneficial. It could be stressful, but it's also beneficial because you get to learn how to do all these things and be like a solid overall business owner.
What store did you make in dropshipping? Do you sell shoes or clothing or something you can get into
Just
it?
depends
Yeah,
whatever's popular. So I've sold
yeah,
hats. Like, literally, this hat was one of my best sellers.
yeah.
That was my first store, the first store I'm mentioning. I've sold air purifiers during COVID. I've sold, shoes. I've sold sandals like slides. I've sold pretty much anything you could think of. Like I've sold as long as there's popular trends, and as you're getting more into the dropshipping game and e-commerce game, you could start picking up on trends. I just sell whatever I think can make me money, and I give it a shot. So that's again the benefit of being dropshipping. The dropshipping model is that you can pick up a product really quickly and see if it works, without having to buy all this inventory and getting stuck with it. And that's the cool thing about the dropshipping fulfillment model. But right now, like I mentioned, I'm more in affiliate marketing, but the same thing applies. Like affiliate marketing, there's tons of vendors that need affiliates. I go ahead and just test a couple offers, whichever one works, I just stick to for a little bit. And then once it dies out, I just hop onto whatever I think is going to be beneficial and profitable.
Yeah. Did you exit out of the dropshipping stores and that stuff?
Yeah, just because right now I'm working towards bigger goals. Like I'm
Yeah.
working on opening a SaaS project, like a software. So that's taking a lot of my time and a lot of my money. So I didn't want to necessarily be on the brand owner side anymore. So I decided, hey, like, I need to free up a little bit more of my time and take a little bit of the stress away. So being an affiliate was the perfect balance because I still get to sell products and use my online marketing skill, but I don't have to worry about the fulfillment, payment processing, customer service and all that stuff. That stuff's like obviously in the hands of the actual business owner. So
Yeah.
that's the benefit, and that's why I decided to pivot. But who knows when I'll get back in the game for drop shipping and being my own brand owner eventually. But that time will tell when that happens.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah, so in 5 years, I'm hoping that I have pretty much just cemented my brand. So like I do want to get back into e-commerce. But right now my first thing is getting my SaaS off the ground. So hopefully the SaaS is doing really, really well and it's kind of self-sustainable. I'm able to build a team around it to handle pretty much all the operations. And then from there, have a couple e-commerce brands alongside that, again, with their own teams. So I could go ahead and just relax and oversee everything rather than being in the business. I'm still in the position where I'm actively in the business because I'm still learning and trying to get to that next level myself. But once I get to that point, I feel like, hiring the teams is the next logical step, and me just checking in on them and helping them scale when needed is going to be like the biggest step. So that's what I'm hoping I end up being. And that's the goal that we're working towards right now.
Yeah. Do you have anything else to add or something like that for young
Yeah, I
entrepreneurs out
mean,
there? Yeah.
ultimately, I think if you're interested in digital marketing, I think the first step, like I mentioned, is just figure out what branch you're interested in, whether it be social media marketing agency, being an agency owner, doing the affiliate marketing thing or doing a store, whether it be drop shipping or branded products. And then just, trying to learn as much as you can for free off that and give it a shot, trial and error. Yes, it's going to cost money to do some of these models, right? Drop shipping, you have to use marketing, you have to pay for the marketing that costs money. But you can't be afraid. Just keep on going and don't give up. And eventually you're gonna crack it and you're gonna be grateful you did. And that's just basically how I kind of end that off.
Yeah. Crack outside of the matrix. Escape the matrix. Exactly.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Skip
Yeah.
the minute.
Exactly. Yo, thank you so much for doing this podcast with me, Victor. I will do a link below to him so you can go and
Awesome.
follow his channels and basically, yeah, something like that.
Cool. Sounds good. Thank you so much. I appreciate you and thank you
Thank
for
you.
having me.
Thank
Take
you
it
so
easy.
much.
Yep.
Have an
No
amazing
problem.
day. Peace.